Are back here on to the S63 engine rebuild or investigation. So we got it mounted on the engine stand. We've got it stripped. We got pretty much everything off of it. So what we're going to go ahead and do now is just remove the top oil pan. We'll take a look and see what we find. Then after that we'll remove the oil pump and then take off the lower oil pan, and then try to see what's locking this engine up and which crank rod bearing is spun. We'll go from there. Taking these bolts off, doesn't look like the engine's been gone into by anyone before, because every one of these bolts were tight and they had the factory Loctite on them, so didn't seem right now that anyone's been in here. Trying to take a look and see any type of a debris. Can't really tell. Nothing obvious. Metal chips, shavings, maybe here, maybe a little bit. It's like grayish. Okay, let's go ahead and get the oil pump off. Now, initially looking at the pickup tube, the screen, you really can't see anything inside there, like any chips or metal or anything like that. So there's really no indications like you know, like the bearings have been rubbing a long time and there's excessive material in here. Can't see that. Look how dark and blue these two rods are. These got extremely hot. Look at the color difference between here and here to here and here. These definitely got extremely hot. I think this is what's locking our engine up right here. I can't really see the one underneath the oil pump looks good. So let's go ahead and take these two rods off right here. You guys can see here, this bearing is melted onto this journal right here. I'm trying to peel it back. It's just stuck on there. All right, let's get the other one off. This one didn't spun. Looks like it was starting to spin inside here, but it's got some indications on the cap here. But it's pretty blue, got pretty hot. Just going to push these pistons back as much as I can. Should be able to rotate here a little bit now. Okay. Here we go. That's where we locked up on. Alright, so we know where we locked the bearings up on, so now what we're going to go ahead and do, we're going to leave this like this because I don't want to rotate it too much with the those two pistons just hanging on the bottom. So what we're going to go ahead and do is disassemble the head, get the heads off, and then after that we're going to come back and do the bottom end. Man, look at that. All right, so let's continue. Look at that. Beautiful. We got one side of the cylinder head off. As you can see, cylinder head that's pretty good. It's clean. Don't expect to be any problems with this. The camshafts, I've gone ahead and labeled the camshafts, and I've labeled it intake cam, left side from the perspective of the driver, left side and right side. Then I'm also labeled what the cap numbers are. So on these caps, they have a LE1 to a LE5, and here it's an LA1 to an LA5 on the exhaust side. I'm gonna store these. I'm gonna match the rockers to the cam lobes because, like I said, these wear in together and I don't want to mismatch them when I go back together. So I'm gonna mark these. I'm gonna put these on a cardboard and I'll label them, and as I clean them I'll put them back and put them in their same location. Now I'm gonna go through removing the other side head. Before I do so, I wanted to show you guys, like on here, the caps are labeled RE for the intake side and RA for the exhaust side. So you'll go from RA1, and here is where you had your larger cap that covers over here, so your fuel pressure pump rides off of here, and then you have your other two caps. So you have, so this is considered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So RA1 to RA5. On here, RE will be on your intake side, RE1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So then I'll take the camshaft off, I'll put the caps on back, and I'll match up the rockers to the camshaft, and then this head will come off. Important to note, when you're taking this head off, remove this screw right here. It's a guide bolt that locks in the chain guide right here. Then you've got two smaller head bolts here, and then you've got the larger ones to take off, and this should come right off. Let's get to it. Alright, everything, we got the head disassembled. Got the two camshafts. We've located the correct rollers to the correct cam lobe. Identified the camshaft, cylinder 5 through 8, left side. Also, camshafts marked with the BMW part number, so you can look that up and identify the camshaft if you ever get them mixed up. So we've got each one of these rollers are aligning to these lobes. Look at the intake valve. Look how bad that is. That's just a tremendous amount of carbon buildup right there. That's a lot. Exhaust valve. Cylinder head looks pretty clean. Not actually very clean. The camshaft lobes and the oil control, I forgot what you call it, but the Teflon seal rings, very minimal. You really can't feel. You guys can see that there, right there. Very just minor visual. Really can't feel any type of a groove in. Surface of the head looks good, but just see here. Look at the tremendous amount of carbon buildup in these valves here. Okay, so we're gonna get everything cleaned up, all the valves, the head cleaned up, and then what we're gonna do, the head's gonna have to get the flatness, the deck checked, see if it's within BMW flatness tolerance. Then the valve guides will have to be checked, see the amount of wear in the valve guides. Check the seal, check the angles. If the angles are acceptable, then what we may do is just go ahead and lap the valves in for a blue contact check and a vacuum test. All right, so next part, let's take a look at the pistons. Bores looks, from a visual indication, bores looks good. You can see the carbon buildup on the top of the piston. Boards looks pretty good. So we're gonna go ahead and remove the pistons. So next step, remove the pistons, then dismount the block, remove the front timing cover, remove the chain guides. Then we'll get this block cleaned up, and then after it cleans up, we're gonna go ahead do a dimensional inspection of the block, the bores, out of roundness, taper, concentricity, and before that, before we remove the pistons and the crankshaft, we're gonna take a plastic gauge check on the rods and see what our existing clearance are. All right, stay tuned.